Shalom, everybody. So here we are before the Sabbath begins here in Israel in the Judean hills. Again, from my porch, I'm looking out on Ari's building right next door to me. So this Dvar Torah, these words of Torah, are again in memory of Ari, and I'll be connecting it to Ari to get a little deeper perspective, understanding, and try my best to give over some positive Torah messages. I'm not as learned as Ari. I'm not a rabbi like Ari. The Torah is dear to me. The messages of the Torah, the commandments, the mitzvot of the Torah are dear to me. Learning Torah is dear to me. But I'm far from the level of learnedness that Ari was on. Those are the children getting ready and setting up, both for the Sabbath, right? We have to get the house all set for the Sabbath, for Shabbat, setting the table. And I'm also right in between the Sabbath table and the porch where we are setting up our sukkah. Here, I'll let you guys see the sukkah that we are building for the holiday of Sukkot. Right, there's our flag. There is the schach, that's the covering. That's the covering we put up for our sukkah that we're going to have on our porch, overlooking the Judean hills, seeing Jerusalem in the distance. We actually can see the hills of Jerusalem and where the Temple Mount is with binoculars. You could see the Temple Mount. You could see the Dome of the Rock, the gold Dome of the Rock, which is the Temple Mount. So I'm thinking of it as the Temple Mount. So we're able to see that from our porch where we're building our sukkah. So again, I hope you accept my words of Torah and they mean something to you. Even though I'm saying this, I'm not on the same level that Ari is on his level of Torah understanding. Okay, this week's Torah portion. Shalom, everyone. Shalom from Puerto Rico. Please let me know where you're from, where you're watching from all over the world. It's wonderful. And Priscilla's from Puerto Rico. That's the one message. They pop up. I'm not seeing all the comments, so if I don't respond to everything, please forgive me. From Luxembourg, Muriel, thank you. So this week's Torah portion, Asvor, good something Israel. I don't understand that language, but thank you. It looks Norwegian, maybe. Okay. Ha'azinu, the Torah portion of the week is Ha'azinu. We are coming to the end of the 5 books of Moses. This is the second to last Torah portion, when then we finish reading the whole Torah, all the 5 books of Moses, and then we start again. We start from the beginning, from the very beginning, from Bereshit, the first chapter of the 5 books of Moses, the creation of the world, when God creates the world in sacred Bereshit. Germany's in the house, South Africa, you guys are amazing. Petach Tikva, San Diego, amazing, awesome, thank you. Help us spread these Torah messages in Ari's memory, because it is by spreading light that we get rid of all the darkness in the world, right? And that's what we're about. That's what Ari is about. That's what I'm about together, and living it, keeping it going for his memory, spreading light in order to get rid of the darkness. That's the Jewish way, and that's the way to make the world a better place. So Ha'azinu, second to last Torah portion of the week. And if you think about it, it's a sad time period, because it is the last day before Moses dies. All right? We're talking about the last day. Charlotte, New York, hello. The last day before Moses dies, and he's giving this speech. But the Torah doesn't call it a speech. It's called a shirah. It's called a song. It's called a poem. And when you read it, and when you read the Hebrew, the way it is written in the Torah, it's written in a special format that you could see that is a poem-like form. And the way you read it also, it sounds like a poem. For those of you who understand Hebrew, you can hear it. For those who don't understand Hebrew, hopefully you could pick it up. But listen very carefully. Ha'azinu hashamayim va'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi I'll go into the translation in a minute. Ya'arof kematar likhi tizal katar imati. Kisirim alei deshe ukrivivim alei esev. So if you could just pay attention, it is a song. It is a song. It's a shirah. So this last speech of Moses to the people of Israel before Moses then dies, he's not able to go into the land of Israel with the Jewish people like he wanted. He so deserves it. He worked so hard. He freed the Jewish people. He led them to freedom. He led them for 40 years in the desert. What does he want to do? He wants to go to the promised land. He wants to go to the land where God promised the Jewish people, to the land of Israel, where we could be a nation in our homeland with the Torah and help humankind from our homeland. That's all Moses wants. He worked so hard. But God said, no, you're staying here, Moses. You're dying here on this side of the Jordan River. And you'll hand it over the leadership to Joshua. He's going to lead everyone in. And this is the last speech that Moses is giving over, and it's a song. It's a beautiful proasic song. So now what's the English here? Hazinu hashamayim va'adabera. Listen up, heavens! Heavens, listen up! V'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi. And let the earth hear what's coming out of my mouth. So first of all, I titled these words of Torah with the question, why is Moses calling out to the heavens and the earth to listen? Well, basically he is calling upon them to be witness for what he is about to say. What's Moses about to say? Very simply, the last speech Moses gives to the Jewish people he's saying the following. You are now going to the promised land where you're supposed to be. You are now supposed to follow the Torah's commandments and follow the word of God and listen to God and not worship idols and not go against God's words. But Moses continues and he says, but you will go against God's words and bad things will happen to you. And then reminding them, even when that happens, return to God. Return to following God's commandments. So that is basically Moses' speech. Basically telling the Jewish people that he knows. He's not taking a guess. He's not saying maybe. He's telling the Jewish people, I know you will sin. You will go against God's words. You will even worship the idols that you're supposed to not worship. What's an idol? An idol is where man is putting the belief of a power of the universe in a physical being. That is the antithesis to God. God is omnipotent. God is everywhere. God is not physical. God is a spiritual power in the world. You cannot believe in God and worship idols. Worshipping idols means that you do not understand what belief in a one God means. That's the antithesis of belief. That's the antithesis of understanding the unity of our universe, the unity of God and our relationship as man with God. And yet Moses is telling them, even though I have taught you the Torah, even though I have led you, even though all of God's goodness to you, one day you will sin. And one day you will be punished. But then one day you will come back too. That is basically the poem. So then the question comes up. Why? Why is Moses calling upon the heavens and the earth to be witness to this poem? Okay, so it's actually two questions, if you think about it. Question number one is, why does Moses need any witnesses whatsoever? Why can't he just say his speech to the Jewish people? He's saying a poem. He's giving over a message. Why witnesses? What's the importance of witnesses? Right? right? Just say what you gotta say. Nowhere else in the Torah does Moses say, oh, here are witnesses to what I'm saying. Nowhere else. Only now. Only now. The only time Moses calls out for everyone to know that there are witnesses for his message. Question number 2. How is he calling upon the heavens and the earth to be witness for a speech? The heavens and the earth have no physical presence. How can they be witness? Joshua could be a witness. The leaders of the 12 tribes can be witnesses. The priests can be witnesses, right? People are witnesses. How can Moses call out to the heavens and the earth to be witnesses? So again, summing up the 2 questions we're dealing with. Question number 1, why does Moses have to call out for there to be witnesses for this speech he gives out to the Jewish people? And question number 2 is, how can the heavens and the earth be those witnesses that Moses calls out for? Makes no sense. They're not witnesses. They're the heavens and the earth. Those aren't witnesses. Okay, so let's answer the first question first and the second question second. Judaism is a system. We are a culture. Judaism is not a religion. Judaism, it's called Judaism, but we're a people. We're a nation. We're a way of life. Our commandments are part of our overall culture, right? Think about it. The Jewish people have 3 unique things. We have the culture and the commandments. We have a homeland where that culture and commandments are supposed to go. And we have a language. What other religion has those 3 unique components? None. None, right? You could be Christian anywhere in the world, speak any language. There's no one language that connects all Christians. There's no one country that Christians are supposed to live in. But you have the belief system, and you have whatever commandments that the different denominations of Christianity gives over to you. Okay? But again, Judaism not only has the cultural commandment aspect, we also have a homeland where we're supposed to live and a unique language. Every Jew is supposed to read the Bible in Hebrew. When we come to Israel, we speak Hebrew. Every Jew, no matter where he is around the world, when he reads the Torah, he might have a translation to better understand it, but he has the original Hebrew. When you're called up to the Torah in New Zealand or America or Australia or Egypt or even Pakistan, you are called up to read the Torah in Hebrew. We are a one-language people. Due to being exiled, we're all over the world, so we speak different languages as well. But we have one core language that brings us all together. That's Hebrew. So again, Judaism is not a language. Judaism is not a religion. We're different. We're a peoplehood. We're a nation. And the Torah and the commandments are one aspect. It's and been the same for 3,000 years. Correct, Susan. It was one aspect of our peoplehood, of our national identity. Okay? Part of our culture is law, right? Judaism is argued is one of the first, if not the first, but one of the first civilizations to bring law and order to civilization, right? To ensure that there is order when we are living together, that there are judges, that there are laws, right? The 10 Commandments. Right? One of the first civilizations to have commandments to live by in order for society to live in an orderly fashion. And God gave over to us a very important concept of witnesses. That when you go to a court of law, in Judaism, in the Torah, we need 2 witnesses. We need 2 credible witnesses. It can't just be two random people. It can't be two people who are related. It can't be two people who are related to the people in the court case. It has to be two people who are vetted to being independent sources and therefore as reliable as possible. Right? And then in the court system, they are also challenged for their reliability. But again, since Judaism is this system of laws, part of ensuring that laws and justice are ensured in a court system, there are always two witnesses. So then again, the question is, why does Moses need witnesses now? He's never had witnesses before. And if you think about it, this is not just a eulogy that Moses is giving over to the Jewish people. Moses is giving over a statement to the whole Jewish people for generation after generation after generation. And I just gave a hint to the second question. Right? Remember what the second question was, folks? The first question is, why do we need witnesses? The second question is, why the heavens and the earth are as the witnesses? And I just gave you a little hint. So the first question, why the witnesses? So, because Moses' speech, Moses' song, is a statement to the Jewish people for millennia. Not just to those Jews in the desert right there before entering the land of Israel. But for me, and for my ancestors, and for my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, this speech is for all of us. Because this speech is Moses' promise to the Jewish people that even though the day will come when we will sin, and we will go against God's word, we will be returned to the land of Israel. We will return to the right path of following God and following the commandments and being in the place we're supposed to be in the land of Israel. This was a statement for eternity. And Moses wanted to make sure that none of us would have any doubt about his statement. That it would be true, that even though we would go through generations of hardship, of persecution, of exile, even though that will happen, he wanted there to be witnesses that the redemption will come, that the good times will come, that the Jewish people's return to the Holy Land will come, that we can never be depressed because of the bad times we experience. And in order to ensure that that message be remembered generation after generation after generation, he wanted to ensure that there were witnesses to this statement of his before he dies. So now we go to the second question. We answered why the need for witnesses, to ensure that Jews generations afterwards would still believe this statement. Because you could believe something when there are witnesses who witnessed that thing, that speech, that act, etc. So then the question is, the heavens and the earth as witnesses? So we can already answer why the priests couldn't be the witnesses, or Joshua and the tribe leaders couldn't be witnesses, because they die. Right? Moses wanted to make sure they were witnesses to this statement that lasts forever, so that a Jew thousands of years later can rely on this statement, can trust this statement, can go back. Yes, Moses said, even though we were going to have bad times, the good times would come back. The redemption would come. We would return to the land of Israel. Moses needed witnesses that would remain forever so that I can rely on those witnesses. He couldn't use Joshua or the leaders of the tribes or the priests to be witnesses because they then die. And they would have been dead thousands of years. So he needed to call upon entities that live forever. And therefore he called the heavens and the earth to be those witnesses because they are forever. Now comes what the third question, right? So I answered the two questions. Why the need for witnesses and why the heavens and the earth must be those two witnesses. And now we come to the final question that I posted in the post, but I didn't yet tell you that. And that is, what is the connection between the choice of the heavens and the earth as witnesses, and Ari. And now here comes the powerful statement, folks. The powerful concept that is really, really critical for all of us to internalize. And I've said this in different ways the past week since Ari's been killed, since been murdered. And it's such an important message. It's an important aspect of the Jewish belief system. And not every Jew believes it or can understand it or grasp it. And I think it's an important concept for everybody, not just for Jews. We are physical beings. We think based on our physical understanding. Something exists because we can feel it, because we could touch it, because we see it, right? Something physical. We are physical. I think of a person as something with life, right? Even a plant, right? I see a plant grow. I see that as life, right? But people don't think of the heavens as something that's life, or the earth as something that is life. But yet here, in the Torah, thousands of years ago, God, via his messenger Moses, is already teaching us this important message, that there is a soul to every creation in the world that God created. Whether it is a body, a person like me and you, right? A baby is born. We see the miracle of a baby being born, the most miraculous thing in the world. Like, I don't understand how people could say they don't believe in God if they were born and they see children being born. It's the most miraculous thing. A nothing comes out of a woman's body. That's not a miracle? How can you not believe in God? Babies are born. How can you not believe in God? Where did the baby come from? It was nothing. It was a sperm and an egg that came together because of an interaction between two individuals. And boom! 9 months later, or whatever, you have a baby. It's miracle. It's a miracle. How can you not believe in God? And yet there's still people who don't get that, who don't see that doubt God's existence. Like, that boggles my mind, honestly. And here, and a body, and every baby born there's a soul. We have a soul. We don't just have a body, we have a soul. And here we're learning the lesson, not just our people have importance and have souls, but even the heavens have a soul. Even the earth has a soul. Even something that is not in a human body has a soul. Yes, the heavens and the earth can be witnesses because God put a soul in them too. It is not a soul we could see. It is not a soul we could touch, but it exists. And it is a natural power in there, in the world, that God created. Just like he created people and animals and plants. He created the heavens and he created the earth, and they have a soul as well. So what's the connection to Ari, folks? I hope you can figure it out yourselves. Just like the heavens that we can't touch has a soul. Just like the earth, which we can touch, but you don't think of the earth having a soul. But here, Moses told us we have a soul. We have a soul. The earth has a soul as well. It could be witness. Ari's soul is still with us. His body might not be with us anymore to see or to talk to or to interact with or to watch live anymore. But his soul is with us. His soul is around us. Everyone in your life who is no longer alive, their souls are still with you, still making an impact on you and all over. We are stuck in our minds about thinking of our physical beings and the physical world, and it's so hard to grasp that there is an extension, there is a continuation. In Judaism, we call it the Olam Haba, the next world, the true world. We call this world as the world of Olam HaSheker, a world of lies. This physical world is actually a world of lies, because we lie to ourselves relying on our eyes and our physical beings. Think about it. You look at someone, he looks beautiful, or a woman looks gorgeous, and you become such unbelievable fans of them, and you love them, like the whole celeb society we're living in. And they're worshipped. People worship these celebrities. Some of those celebrities might be nice people. Some of them are horrible people. You do not want to be in the same room as them. You do not want to be married to them. You do not want to buy a used car from them. They just look beautiful, and they act so nicely on the movie screen or on the television screen. You get what I'm saying? It's a world of lies because we are relying on our eyes. We are relying on on the physical aspect. And we lie to ourselves because the physical does not always give over the truth. The true world is the next world. The true world is where there is no more physical. There are no more bodies to look at, no more eyes. It's just the soul. It's just the spirit. That is the true world. That is the true you. The true you is your spirit inside of you. Sometimes you let it shine, and other times you don't. Because you're afraid. You don't want other people to see your soul shine. You want to make other people happy. You say yes when you should have said no. You say no when you should have said yes. You pretend even though you really don't feel like you should act that way. You're not nice to this person even though you should. And you are nice to that person even though they should. You get it? You get it? Your soul is the only thing that's true. And sometimes you let it shine and sometimes you don't. We're supposed to be true to ourselves. What does that mean, true to ourselves? Well, this is me. I'm always true to myself, right? No, not always. Your self is your inner self. It's your soul inside. That's your inner self. It's not always easy to be true to yourself and to act based on who you are, like Ari did. And based on your truth, your inner truth, like Ari did. It's not always easy. But the point I'm trying to get to, and with this will end, is that the soul is alive. We lie to ourselves relying on our eyes and just on what we can see, the physical. The soul is alive. And the soul lives on even when the body is buried underground. Whether that has to do with Ari's soul who's still around us and influencing the world, or your parents, or grandparents, or great-grandparents, or siblings, or even children who might no longer be alive. Their souls are with you. But here's the key. A person who is no longer, their soul is only with you and only influencing you if you allow them to be with you and influence you. If you shut them off, if you trust your eyes and you trust the physical world and you don't believe in the soul, well, that person's soul is no longer going to be with you. You don't believe in it. So it can't influence you. You have to let it in. So that's why I believe Ari's soul is out there and influencing the world today in an unbelievable way. But the only people who are able to see it are those who believe it. If you don't believe that a soul lives on after it leaves the body, you won't see it. Same thing regarding your relatives who are no longer with us. The only way they are really influencing you is if you hold on to that belief that their soul is still out there. And then you can be allowing it to influence you. And that's why they're always with you. It's sad when somebody dies. Right? And here, some people could say, who are you, Avi? Your parents are still alive. Your siblings are still alive. That's true. That's true. Yes, I've experienced my grandparents. I lost my grandparents. I was blessed to have all 4 grandparents. Right? I lost 1 grandparent when I was a young child. Other than that, my other 3 grandparents died when I was older. But again, I have my parents, I have my siblings. How do I know grief? I don't know grief like other people know grief. Who am I to say all this? Maybe. But I don't think so. Because I think if a person has this belief, like I do, and you believe in the soul, and you believe in God, and that God has a greater purpose in the world and a greater plan in the world, and that this is only a stepping stone for the true world, for the world to come, where it's really in the world of truth, where it's just the souls. Then I'm not saying you can handle grief easier, but it's a little more understandable in the loss. No one lives forever, so there's a little more understanding of that loss. In any case, everybody, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is the first week that Ari is not doing the Torah portion, this Torah lesson. I just asked forgiveness from Ari if I didn't do as good a job as him, because he was a powerhouse and very learned powerhouse, much learned than I am. So I can never do Torah lessons justice like he used to do. But and I can't say that I will have the ability every Friday to be able to do this like he did it. I don't have the same life structure as Ari, so it's not as simple for me to do it. But I do promise when I am able to do it, I will. Why? Because you all are out there looking for it. Ari trained you to be ready to learn every Friday, to learn some Torah and be prepared for the Shabbat, just like he was. And I don't want to let you down. And I don't want to let Ari down as much as possible. Don't want to let him down. Don't want to let you guys down. So, final message, Ari is with us. Hold on to that. If you hold on to that, then he'll be influencing you. And you'll see how he's also influencing the whole world. And it's not just Ari, but it's every soul of every person of your dear loved ones who are no longer with you today. So, I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. We have Shabbat tonight and tomorrow. Then Sunday, our Jewish calendar is no rest for the weary. We then start, we have to finish preparing for the Sukkot holiday, the Feast of the Tabernacles that starts Sunday night, Monday. It's another Chag, it's another Shabbat-like time when we shut off from all the electricity and all of the electronics and all of our devices, and we just spend time with family and go to prayer and study Torah. So, will I be able to get on Sunday to give another message? I don't know, but just in case I don't, not only am I going to say Shabbat Shalom, I'm going to say Chag Sameach, Chag Sukkot Sameach. That, if for those who are not Jewish, that is the message, the happy, welcoming message into the holiday season, the holiday of Sukkot. So Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and keep Ari alive by believing that he is still with us and with you and all of your dear ones. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, everyone. Avi Ebo from the beautiful ancestral homeland of the Jewish people, the Judean hills.